Strap in and be prepared.
Maybe I'll learn from your failures.
That is what you could do.
Yeah.
Interesting guests.
Kelly Graves, Mike Parker, Josh Pate, George Reiser, Ryan Lee, Yogi Roth, who said that Justin and I are smart.
Sharp opinions.
I think Dan Lanning's sitting in his office going, you know what, fine, give us the toughest road to win the national championship. That's what it should be.
Oregon State, in their baseball program, is still operating from a position of strength, even if they're independent. But here they are in the College World Series.
And some smiles.
It's iconic.
We're not keeping score, but maybe we're keeping score.
The fastest 60 minutes in sports is on the air. It's Danny Havel.
When I wake up every morning, I say to myself, what can I do to make Baby J's life better today?
Justin Grossweiner.
Have I ever told you, Danny, that growing up I really loved ducks?
Danny and Justin starts now on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport.
Hello, neighbors, and welcome high top the Dilt, Triad, and the Crystal Palace, the Bigfoot Beverages Studios in Newport and Eugene. This is the Danny and Justin radio program. We call it the fastest 60 minutes in sports talk. Thanks for tuning in. As you traverse into your weekend, we have the fastest 60 minutes in sports talk. We do more with 60 minutes than most do with 3 hours. You can follow us on all the pod platforms: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Podcast Note, Listen, RSS, CastBox, Castro. I'll probably make a few up in there and see if you can go in there and find them. But thanks for tuning in, and also on YouTube and our YouTube channel, which we displayed a new studio yesterday, which I thought worked really well. If you were out at Laurelwood or watched us on YouTube, hopefully we're going to bring that into the studio here soon, Monday through Friday. But without further ado, I'm Danny Howell. Right over there is my tag team partner, Justin Grossweiner. We call him Baby J. What a boy!
Well, I'm excited. It's the weekend, Danny. Quite frankly, not that it's been a long week or anything like that, but there's only just so many weekends.
No. It's been a long week.
It's
been a long week.
For you, it's been a long week.
It's been a very long week.
It's been fine for me. I've had a decent week, but it is one of the last few weekends before football season where things really start to ramp up for us. So I'm going to take advantage of it. Have a good time.
I'm glad you are. So on the program today, first-time guest. We always like our first-time guests. Mm-hmm. Jared Walker, the hitting coach from the Eugene Emeralds, will be on the program. We'll talk the process, mechanics versus
trusting it,
methodology. Yeah, trusting wood bat versus a composite bat or a metal bat. You know, the transition that the players make, and also, his thoughts on ABS. So we'll have the coach here right on 20 after the hour. Major League Baseball deadline for trades closed out about, 4 o'clock?
Actually, it was
time?
3 o'clock. We didn't realize it was actually right after our show.
I was just following you. I wasn't paying attention.
I saw here. I did my math wrong. It was 6 p.m. Eastern. In my head, I thought that was 4 p.m. for some reason, even though it's a 3-hour difference, not a 2-hour difference. So it was right after our show.
So the trade deadline came and went. There were some very clear winners, they think. And it's all subjective, okay, on how the season ends for these teams that made big moves, or the teams that stood pat, or the teams that just added a piece here or there. Sometimes it's not about bargaining your future. I mean, the Minnesota Twins was like if they had like a line going out of their garage into the street because they literally got rid of half their starting lineup.
A lot of lawyers going through contracts.
Amazing. So Washington was definitely, Minnesota was definitely a fire sale. That's how I'm saying Washington.
But there was going to be some team that was going to do that. That was going to decide, hey, you know what? We just are going to take advantage of this seller's market. I actually think that they didn't really get a great deal for Correa. It was basically a salary dump. They got back a 26-year-old
And some teams
prospect.
are doing that as well. They come to the trade deadline and they know we're not going anywhere this year, so we're going to free up some cap so we can do something in the offseason. Right?
I mean, I guess, but is Minnesota going to really do something in the offseason? Are they the type of team that's going to spend big in free agency? No, it just sucks for their fans.
They haven't been good since Kent Herbeck and Kirby Puckett.
Well, they won their first playoff series. I believe that was last year, right? Or
they
2
have
years
not
ago?
been really good since Kirby Puckett
I
and Kent
can
Herbeck.
remember all the times they were in the playoffs. I remember them against the Yankees.
Dan Gladden.
2004 or 5 or something like that.
This is
maybe
going way back.
Maybe 2002 even. It was pretty like when they played the Yankees in the post-2000s, and then they played in the playoffs pretty recently, like the last couple of years, and that was been it. Like, it's been pretty bad for the Twins.
That's when they played in the Hefty Bag Dome.
I think it was 2 years ago.
Was it 2? See,
Yeah.
it flows right past me. I mean, I'm just
it's
concentrating.
because they're just one of those teams.
Yeah. and a smaller market team. And if you were just listening to the Doug Gottlieb show right before us, you heard one of the Major League Baseball experts basically say he really liked what the Padres did.
Really?
Yes, really liked what the Padres did.
I'm not saying they got some good players, but did you see the prospects they gave up?
They did.
They basically gave up
rated their farm system.
8 out of their top 10, including the number 1, who's the number 3 overall prospect.
So
that's nuts.
That is a team that thinks the Dodgers are vulnerable, which they very well might be correct.
They also paid a hefty price for a guy that's going to be around for a number of seasons. So they're not just saying, hey, we're going to only go for it this season. They're bringing around a guy that's going to be around for multiple years. But I agree. This is a year that there is no team that is a untouchable team. Every team has their flaws, especially in the National League. There's about 5 teams that are all in that 60-win area. I believe the Padres are just kind of creeping up there as well. But the Padres certainly went out and got better. The Dodgers got better.
Well, we're going to talk about it in the last segment.
Okay, we're going to talk about it in the last segment.
That's why I had in the last segment.
Okay,
so I don't want to do
I don't want to just
much
start getting on my soapbox here.
Yeah, because you will.
I absolutely will.
I'm pulling you back down. But I'll just say Major League Baseball would absolutely go out of their minds if it was a Padres-Tigers World Series. They would go out of their minds in the wrong way.
Okay,
that is not something they want. They want at least one big market. Oh no, they want a big market team.
So I don't think San Diego is a big market team, but I think they're a pretty popular team. I think that they're certainly the amount of players they have that are big time players. They certainly bring a lot of eyes. I think.
All right, we're going to table that.
Okay,
and we're going to put a pin in it, and then we'll go back to it at the last segment of the show. Because we'll do a lot of baseball today on the program, which is nice. So we got news and notes coming up in a little bit. I've got a story about a dad who played a world record amount of golf in the shortest period of time.
Your ideal life.
Well, I don't know. The way this guy's describing the way he's feeling, I'm not sure that was great. We also want to give a big shout-out to the Newport swim team, by the way. They may have sent only 2 swimmers to the OSI Arena 11 and over long course championships, but that didn't stop the 2 that were there. 12-year-old Zoe Chappell and 15-year-old Gwyn Postlewaite. They participated in Mount Hood Aquatic Center in Gresham. I know where that is, actually. It's the Mount Hood Community College. My Abby used to go take swim lessons there back the last week of July. And for their efforts, they came in with championships. And with a collection of medals, they finished in the top 8 in Oregon swimming for the season. And there were over 750 swimmers competing from 11 years old to college age in this event. So congratulations.
Yeah. Tip of the cap.
Yeah, absolutely. To Gwen and Zoe. So very nicely done. Newport swim team. By the way, we're efforting on Monday to have the high school football coach from Newport on, correct? Okay, we're efforting. We're not promising. When we say efforting, that means we've reached out and we hope. That's what we cast it out into the ether and hope it comes back to us in spades. So there you go. You want to do news and notes real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start. I'll start because, and hopefully I'm not grabbing one of yours, Washington Commanders are going home. The D.C. Council voted to approve a deal between the team and the city, paving the way for the franchise to return to the District of Columbia, because they're actually outside.
They're in Virginia, right?
Right. The council voted 9-3. It needed the 2/3 majority to do it to approve plans for a football stadium at a site where the franchise enjoyed its best days. Now, the council's got to vote again September 17th, but they say it's going to pass. RFK was the home of the Washington football team from 1961 to 1996. It's still there, but what they're going to do is they're going to tear it down, and right next to it, $2.7 billion they're going to build a stadium, and it's also going to have a mixed-use facility, housing development, sports complex, retail shops, the whole thing that they always do now when they build a stadium somewhere. So Washington's
going home.
It's
an event center now.
Yeah, Washington's going home to D.C.
Well, there might be a lot of changes for the Washington football team over the next couple of years. Let's stay in the NFC East with Dallas Cowboys pass rusher Mike Parsons. He is now requesting to be traded, although we'll see what happens here. He took to social media on Friday and said...
Yeah, he's flame-throwing that relationship, though.
100%. And he went through his version of the event, said, I wanted to be here. I did everything I could to be a Cowboy. Me and my dad grew up as Cowboy fans, but unfortunately now I no longer want to be here. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, of course. He said that he doesn't want narratives created about him, and it seems like the Cowboys do this every single season. It was CeeDee Lamb, it's Dak Prescott. Every single year there's a guy on the team that I believe it was DeMarcus Lawrence a few years ago, even going back that far. So every year there's a new Cowboys star that basically
is disgruntled.
Exactly, and they don't want to go through easy contract discussions.
Could this have been because Brian Schottenheimer was sick and tired of everybody fighting in practice yesterday and made them all do wind sprints, even the coaches? He was tired of running? I think that could be.
I don't want to be here anymore.
You made me run.
Well, at least he actually was direct, because sometimes there's been, I don't remember who tweeted this, but somebody tweeted out, I don't want to be here anymore, and they were like, well, they thought this was about their team. And
that was Myles Garrett.
No, this was Eric Bledsoe when he was on the Phoenix Suns, and everybody thought that he wanted out when he said that. And he was like, "Oh, I was at the mall with my wife," or something like that.
No, but Myles Garrett did. But Myles Garrett did do that earlier this. No, he did because
I believe you.
Because nobody thought that he would ever go back to Cleveland.
I kind of remember that.
And then they signed him to this huge deal when he was like, "I don't want to." They're not committed to winning.
This is a move. This is not necessarily him saying, "I want to go." It's a move.
Yeah. All right. Danny and Justin radio program for a Friday. Thanks for tuning in wherever and however. On the coast as well, 92.7 KNCU. Of course, you heard the Chargers whoop up on the Lions in preseason football last night. We're going to talk about, does the NFL really need a long preseason? I mean, they've already cut it down by a game.
Lots of Oregon participation, by the way, in that game.
Yeah,
Nico Reed with an interception. Triquez Bridges was in there. DJ Uiagalelei, actually, for Oregon State, was in there for
on the Chargers
as well. Yeah, so he got some run.
Trying to fight for a roster spot. So we'll talk about that later on the program as well. A group, and I know you know about this, Justin, a group called Rip City Forever. Organized by Chris Dudley, former player, Marshall Glickman, former executive, Aaron Hubert, Joth Ricci, and Ryan Buchanan, has been established to try and ensure that the Trailblazers remain in Portland. Of course, the Blazers are up for sale, and there is all of this consternation now that some owner's going to come swoop in and move them possibly, oh my goodness, back to Seattle or some other location. More than 100 community leaders and ex-Blazers have written in an open letter to Mayor Keith Wilson of Portland and Governor Tina Kotek, and launched a website called ripcityforever.com. They're encouraging the public to add their names as well. We, of course, are the home of the Portland Trailblazers here in the Willamette Valley on 102.9 and 1050. What?
Handled with grace.
Thank you very much. That's all I have for that story. I got my golf story next. You got one more?
Well, it's been a long time coming, Danny, but Wrigley Field and the Cubs are going to host the All-Star Game. It's officially official now in 2027. It has been not in my lifetime since they've been there. It's the fourth All-Star Game at Wrigley Field, last being in 1990. The previous two were in 1962 and 1947.
You were alive in 1990?
No, 1995.
Okay, I'm really bad with math.
Yeah, so 35 years ago was the last time the All-Star Game was in Chicago. I'm 30 years old, so therefore it was before my lifetime.
Okay.
So the 1990 game, though, was known for its historically low output. The National League only had 2 hits, the fewest in All-Star Game history for one team. And in the 8-man field in the Home Run Derby, I think I referenced this the other day, they combined to hit 5 home runs. And Ryan Sandberg won the contest with 3 home runs. So he just knew how to hit those home runs at his home ballpark at Wrigley Field.
Rode the wind.
They tried to actually get the All-Star Game about 8 years ago, but for a number of reasons, including just security reasons around Wrigley Field and some of the things that the Ricketts family, the owners of the Cubs, have done, they've made some changes, and so I guess they have allowed now them to have the All-Star Game.
Well, some of it was also they needed to stand in line because there were new ballparks that had been built, and other people were ahead of them in line, but Wrigley Fields get back 2027.
2027.
All right. The Danny and Justin radio program for a Friday. I'm Danny. Right over there is Justin. And if you like to play golf, you got nothing on Kyle Kokonos because he started it was around 5:45 in the morning on June 24th. This is a story that just broke, the other day or just was written about. He was on the 9th green at 5:45 a.m. and called out to his wife that he wanted a pile of 3 napkin cheeseburgers. I don't know what that means. A pizza and a mountain of fries.
A pile of 3 napkin cheeseburgers?
Yeah, I don't know what 3 napkin cheeseburgers means.
Those must mean cheeseburgers that have a lot of cheese, and so you need 3 napkins to
I've never heard of that before.
Contain that.
So at 5:45 in the morning, you would figure why in the world would somebody eat that kind of stuff at 5:45 in the morning? Well, Kokonos was not having a normal day. He had just sank a putt on his 423rd hole of the day.
Jeez.
He started at midnight. He finished his 47th 9-hole round in less than 12 hours, and he teed off another 400 times to break the world record for the most rounds of golf in a single day. He finished officially with 810 complete rounds.
What's your record?
I've played 54 holes in one day before, and it was brutal. When I was back in Michigan recently, I played 36 holes a day for 3 days in a row, and it's almost like getting locked into a candy store, and you eat all the candy, and it's like you never want to see candy again. I literally had to put my clubs down for a few weeks.
All you can think about is golf.
I could
when you're coming out of those 3 days and you just are like zapped.
I didn't even want to see a golf club.
Yeah.
I was just like, fine, put those things away, and they can stay in the corner of the closet. So there you go. News and notes. Danny and Justin Radio.
I got
program.
one more.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, this isn't the biggest one or anything. Yankees have released Marcus Stroman. They're going to actually pay his salary. He signed a 2-year contract before last season, and he had a vesting option whether he got 140 innings. So he wasn't even close to that. He had dealt with some injuries this season and has a 6.23 ERA with Luis Gil coming back for his first starts of the season. He's been the odd man out. So Marcus Stroman's going to be on the market for any of those teams looking for starting pitching. I don't know. I mean, he was on the team 2 years ago, so who knows?
For absolutely
I don't know if he
nothing.
likes the Cubs anymore, though, I have to say.
So here in Eugene, the nation's best track and field athletes kicked off competition yesterday, the 2025 Toyota USA TF Outdoor and Para-National Championships. It continues through the weekend. Qualifying rounds, the first national champions were crowned yesterday in day one, so Hayward Field's going to be a buzzin'. Just if you've already got tickets, absolutely fantastic. If you don't, just keep that in mind if you're traveling around campus near Hayward Field, because it will be backed up. In fact, they've got a couple of roads closed off as well, so keep that in mind as you travel around this weekend. The weather is going to be quite warm. It's going to be warm at least through tonight, and then through the weekend, I think it's going to cool off a touch, but not a ton. So make sure you stay hydrated as well wherever you go out. There's our friendly public service announcement from the Danny and Justin radio program.
Got some good adjectives in there.
What?
A touch, but not a ton. It's good. Very specific.
And by the way, I want to apologize to you yesterday. I was listening back to the program.
To me?
Yeah. So you had talked about Gino Suarez, and then I repeated it like you hadn't said anything, and I apologize. I literally wasn't listening to you for part of that.
Well,
no, I'm
right.
just saying. So if people were listening to the program,
well.
I was really involved with the YouTube channel and trying to make sure everything looked all right, and I was listening to you with half an ear. So I apologize to you.
That's all right.
I do pay attention most of the time when you talk.
I know you do. I believe you.
All right, when we come back, we'll listen to Jared Walker, hitting coach of the M's, Eugene Emeralds, on a torrid pace in the second half. We'll talk to the hitting coach next. Danny and Justin for a Friday. The Eugene Emeralds are blasting out of the gate in the second half after just clinching a spot in the postseason for the Northwest League in the first half. But right now, 24-9 with a nice long homestand, a 727 winning percentage, 7 games clear of Spokane, Tri-City, Vancouver. Everett, who won the first half, is 10 games behind Hillsboro in last place at 10-23. They've fallen off. We're going to head over to the Oregon Man Clinics hotline, live from the Bigfoot Beverages studio on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport, and welcome in the hitting coach. His first visit here on the Danny and Justin radio program. It's Jared Walker joining us. Jared, his second straight season, third season within the Giants organization as the hitting coach for the Emeralds. He enjoyed a 9-year playing career, saw him get drafted by the Dodgers in the 5th round of the 2014 draft. He helped the M's finishing in the top 3 in runs scored last season in the Northwest League, and he joins us now. Jared, you got to be enjoying that the weather is cooling off just a little bit, I would think, right?
Yeah. And first, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah.
Definitely the weather's definitely cooled off, so it's good to play some baseball. What's
not cooled off is your bats here, especially in the second half. Runs scored 208, runs against 129. You guys are 24-9. And, I mean, you're the hitting coach, so, I mean, you're responsible in large part for that offense. So talk about your overall approach when you get the group of players that you're going to start working with in the organization and how you evaluate each one. Where do you start?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to create a relationship no matter, what team you're coaching, especially this level of baseball. You kind of got to find what the player needs most, whether it's more of approach-based, where you're keeping it simple for them on what the pitcher has, what you should probably try to attack, whether it's a field-based thing where a guy might need to feel something in his swing to kind of get going and cue that up in the box, or whether it's both combined and simplifying it. But as the group gets together, we kind of try to go over the picture, have some conversation within the team. I kind of let them control it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I just try to give details that they might not see, that I kind of dive into just to add in there a little bit of mix so they can know. And I think just the group overall, we've got a lot of leaders on the team who kind of just pick up, the slack and kind of pick guys up when they're down. So it's not like you said, like we're having a great second half. It's not like we're just dwelling on anything. We're kind of playing through bumps and bruises that people probably don't see because we're trying to stay strong as a group.
And Jared, for you, it's your second season here in Eugene. What was your reaction when you knew you were coming back, and how has it been for you in your second season now that you've had a little bit of the lay of the land, I guess you would say?
Yeah, I think that was kind of what it was like in the interview where they were like, hey, you got a lay of the land already. I think it's going to be a better, just not better, but better in a sense of what you're going into. Because early on we share the complex with Oregon baseball, and kind of just schedule is hard to get guys in how you want to get them in. So I think this year was a lot easier with the mindset, even some of the return guys that we had and some of the guys that were added into this year that weren't here last year. So I think for me it was just fun to go in with not being as serious in a sense and keeping it fun and joyful for the guys and not
Nice.
letting them complain on things that, just people want to complain on, but just controlling the controllable.
And I think when from the outside you think about the minor leagues, a lot of what you think about is the grind of the minor leagues. It's something that the schedule just can be grueling, it seems, sometimes. So for you as a player, what was your approach to that grind, and has that been the same approach that you've tried to teach your players?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing is, every player lays their head down at night. If they're having a great game, they're going to bed, getting great sleep with not a lot on their mind, right? When they're having tough games, you go home, you try to fight, going to sleep, and you're thinking about the game and results and the next day. So I try to ease that, especially on the hitting side, right? It's probably one of the hardest things to do in all the sports. I think it's just, for me, when I try to have conversations with guys that I know need conversation, I try to meet them in the middle, let them know whenever I'm saying something, it's not the end-all, be-all, because at the end of the day, I understand there's not one thing that I can say that's going to make you a big leaguer today, So just trusting the process within that, letting them know, I'm here for them, reach out anytime you need it. And it's for myself, because I remember those tough times. And I think the coaches, that's why I'm coaching now, the coaches that kind of were in my corner, helping me, more than just helping with my swing, just helping with my mindset, off the field, everything, making it more of a comfortable workplace, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Jared Walker, the hitting coach of the Eugene Emeralds, joining the Danny and Justin radio program here for a Friday at Fox Sports Eugene and Newport, the Bigfoot Beverages studio, and the Oregon Man Clinics hotline at 541-343-5673. So, Jared, the kids that are coming either from high school, you're going to be getting those kids. You've got kids that are, played some college ball. Some of them have played wood bat league, some not. What is the biggest adjustment, you think, for kids that have been, hitting with a composite bat or such, and then now they've got a piece of lumber in their hands? Does that make that much of a difference for some kids? Do you have to watch for that, or does it make no difference at all?
I think it just depends. I've heard people, I had one guy tell me that, I hit this many home runs in college, but it was with the metal bat. So obviously you kind of get away with, whatever you get away with more with the metal bat. I heard one guy say there's not a difference. Give me a bat in my hand, it's going to be the same thing. So I don't know. I think obviously there's probably some science behind it. Obviously the metal bat can help in certain places, but I haven't seen a whole lot. I think when people start struggling coming from college, people want to think, well, is he struggling because he's using wood now?
Right.
So I don't know if that's a heavy weight on the struggle in all terms. I mean, obviously there might be some knocks that aren't falling for you that would have fell in college, but I know some people have different views on that. I mean, to me, there's some areas that, it's a little bit of a difference, and some I'm like, I've seen guys, they move right into it and don't ever look back. So the funny part with our team is I don't think we have one high school draft. I think we all have we have a college team, and it's been fun with that because me being a high school draft myself, not going to college, coaching now with a group of guys that all went to college or, Latin Americans, traveling from out of the country, it's been fun for me. Just keeping it. That's what makes it fun with the jokes and the accountability now that they went to college. So it's more of a higher. I hold them to a higher standard within like the mistakes that they're making or the slack that they try to get at times. Like now you got to keep pushing them.
So, Coach, are you a metrics guy or a mechanics guy when it comes to your approach on trying to help a player get better at the plate?
I think the biggest thing I look at is there's ends of both. Like I'm coaching guys that come from a different, like I said, college guys that come from a different program, and some guys have more metrics at that college. And okay, I'm going to be more maybe centered around some of that, keeping the approach base still up front.
Okay.
And then some guys like love mechanics, and I had a billion hitting coaches just throughout my career, and had different hitting coordinators throughout my career early on. And so I feel like the swing-wise, I've been a mechanical player. Like I've worried about my mechanics so much, so that's something that I feel like I know pretty well. And to me, it just depends on the player. Like if a player needs mechanics or slight adjustments, I'm just going to go straight into simplifying some mechanics. And if a guy likes metrics, whether it's showing him a comparison with a big league player that is more metric based, right? Like this is what this player is doing, right? And this is where yours is showing, It's not really looking at mechanics. It's like, okay, well, he's doing this, right? And he's moving this way, and you're doing this, and you're moving that way. So, and then, the guys kind of answer it on their own when you show them the visual.
What are your thoughts, excuse me, what are your thoughts on launch angle? It's something that's been, I think there's two camps maybe. There's I feel like the older players in the game have always talked about, well, if you do that, then that's why we see these players hitting 220 nowadays. But I think there have been players that have been shown to have a great impact since they have introduced launch angle. They've had success doing that. So what are your personal thoughts on launch angle?
I really don't dive in. I think the biggest thing when I got into coaching is like just a good average, launch angle from probably 12 to 25-ish, like around that launch is just kind of where you want to aim, right? You want to aim with a low line drive and with some backspin that can carry maybe up to 25. You get up to 30 with power behind it. Like that's probably going to get you a home run or a double. So I look at it within those lines. Every hitter has like their swing. And I think the biggest thing is you try to mold, like, I'm big football guy. So, like, when I hear the Sabans and the Kirbys talk, like, they get really good players, right? We draft really good players. But the goal of a coach is to bring something they didn't even think they had in their tank out of them. So that's something within, like, the hitting world. Like, hey, they do something really well. Let's make what they do really well, like, the best version that they didn't even think they had in them, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the way I look at it. So if a guy's contact ability is really elite and he knows how to just put the ball in play, striking out at a 12% rate and, doing those things, like me getting him to try to slug and do all that, like early on would probably not be the best for him. You know what I mean? But then a guy who's big, strong, controls the bat, plays a power position, already knows how to drive the ball, but putting him in a better position to drive the ball more and more consistent on more pitches, that's, you can get in the launch then and there. But, I really haven't used it the whole year,
I think as humans, sometimes we just love to compare. And I'm just curious about, as a coach, do you look at players and, I think we see this all the time where we see a player and we say, oh, this guy reminds me of this other guy. Do you try to avoid that as a coach? Or because, every guy has their individual swing, or is that something you actually think about? Or like, oh, this certain player that, is a good example of a guy that's had success like this is maybe something that player should strive for type of thing?
No, I think it's important to actually give comparisons.
Okay.
All these guys grew up. I mean, like I said, every individual has different ways. Most of the guys, though, they'll tell you, like, yeah, I had a guy that we got called up here a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of was like, yeah, you kind of have like I named a play. I was like, you kind of have a swing like J.D. Martinez when you're going well. He's like, dude, that's who I used to watch. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, perfect. Like, let's align that. Like now we can. When I'm looking at some things, I can kind of like pick up, okay, like, dude, look how he's moving that way. You're kind of going this way. So it's very important. And I think what I find common, too, is we try to find a perfect swing, right? It's the big leaguer, and then show a lefty or a righty. I try to make it based off of, if you're a lefty, I'm going to try to show you a lefty visual of a hitter. And if you're a righty, vice versa, I'm going to try to show you a righty hitter. That way, you're not seeing a lefty with a smooth swing. You're a righty that's, moving a different way, and I'm trying to say he's moving this way, like we got to get going. That that's something that I think has been that I've learned just through time with coaching, being in other rooms of other coaches, and just I think that's something that sticks out. But visuals are always, to me, like it should always stay around. Like just a visual of a really good hitter. You really can't. I mean, who's going to go against somebody batting .330 in the big leagues with 40 home runs?
Right.
Like you're going to be like, okay, that guy's doing something right. So, like I'm not going to ever say, but I do it like this. So.
That's great. Third season with the Giants organization, second here in Eugene. We're glad to have him. It's hitting coach Jared Walker from the Eugene Emeralds joining Danny and Justin here for a Friday from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios in Eugene and Newport. And, Jared, your team now in a nice long homestand. You've got Everett tonight and tomorrow and then Sunday, and then your one day off on Monday because it is a gauntlet now as you're getting down the home stretch, and then a long series against Spokane, which stretches until the 10th. The home park at PK Park, is it a hitter-friendly park from your estimation?
This year has been more hitter-friendly, I feel like, than last year. Now, I will say I think it's probably right in the middle of the pack of the league. I think if you go down the line, like I think there's, I think Vancouver's got maybe one of the toughest places to hit, and then I think Tri-Cities last year I think they moved fences in, maybe they didn't, but that was a tough one. And then I would say like Hillsborough and us, like Hillsborough, we probably have more hitter friendly than Hillsborough. Obviously, Everett's number one on that list. I think it goes both ways. The hard part is you hear hitters say that there's bad shadows here, right? Like the sun and the batter's eye. So,
yeah,
picking up the ball early on in the game, first few innings, it's tough at times. Obviously, I've never played at this field, so it's hard when you want to kind of be the guy or the coach that's, like figure it out, find a way, which we still harp on. Like, hey, ask your teammates what you're seeing, like, or hey, man, the other team's got 5 hits. It's the second inning, like they're seeing something. You know what I mean? So
right.
That's the give or take. Yeah, the ball flies out at times when the flags are flying. Like, yeah, you can get a ball out. But early in the game, though, you almost you'd rather see the ball better than play at a hitter-friendly park, if that makes sense.
It does. Jared, what do you think of ABS?
Just with the zone.
Yeah, I mean, it's been experimented with the minor leagues. They had it, I believe, in the All-Star game.
Correct.
And they started it with spring training this year, and I think there's an evolution in the game where, I don't want to say robots are going to take over the game. There's always going to be the human element, but to get things right in the strike zone, I think is important as a hitter. So, I mean, just your thoughts. We're not going to do a whole political thing on this, but just as a hitter and a hitting instructor, what do you think ABS? What do you think of ABS? And do you think there's value in it in the game?
I think we already have, like we have things, iPads, or we can backtrack, see the zone, see where pitches are. So with that already in the game, like I don't think this is a harm thing. I think to your point, like if I'm hitting and I know like I'm in a 3-2 count and I'm like, no, that's a ball, and I check it and I get rewarded for my walk, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna feel good. I think I watched the All-Star game. I was actually at the All-Star game, and like.
Wow.
I think it was maybe Machado had a play or the zone where he challenged it, and it did clip the zone, right? That's the only scary part because, you're used to some of those borderline pitches going either way. So, it's going to be good, I feel like, but, the game is changing in different ways, right? Like different rules, different zones. I just think I do love the still style of having umpires, right? You got to have, you don't want to be all
sanitized,
automated, and everything within that. So, there's good and bad for everything. You'll see a pitch be called, and I'm watching with my own eyes. I'm like, that's a ball, and then you can go back and look and see where it is, and you're like, okay, that was a tough pitch, right?
Yeah.
So it's love-hate. I remember playing and having my fair shares of being upset, and I'm trying to help these guys like control the controllable and still stay within the at bat, and I don't want people to rely on checking if a pitch is a ball and strike. So like I said, it goes back and forth.
That's a great point, Jared. And say one last thing, and it's selfishly now. I'm going to be participating in the home run derby on the 10th. the Godfather, Matt Dompey, asked me to come out. So I want to ask. So I know that. So I want to ask you. Can you give me a few tips before the home run derby? Or you're going to mess up my head.
No, are you a lefty or righty?
Righty. 5'8".
Oh man.
5'8", medium husky.
You got to aim for that scoreboard, man. You don't
Okay.
want to miss. You don't want to miss the other way.
All right.
What time's that? What time's that home run derby?
I think it's going to be right after the game, the 105 game on Sunday the 10th. That's going to be after the game.
BP. We hit BP at like 3:15, so the flags are flying. So you should be in good shape to at least get you a couple.
All right.
But I guess the advice is if you're hitting arm or machine, I don't know which one that is. Yeah, I did see the home run derby. I don't know how they're going to.
Well, I'm hoping you can throw them to me.
But, hey, I'll throw you some that just run right into your barrel, and we'll get it out.
Attaboy. Love it. Jared, hey, thanks for the time. Best of luck the rest of the season. You guys, again, you've scorched it out of the gates in the second half. Go grab that pennant in the second half and get into the postseason and do something.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me on today.
You bet. The great Jared Walker, the hitting coach from the Eugene Emeralds. That was awesome. First
That
time
was
we
fun.
got, yeah. I mean, knowledgeable guy, man. I can tell why the M's are playing so well here in the second half. They got their bats smoking right now, over 200 runs in that second half. All right, we come back. We'll finish off the program here for Friday. Thanks for hanging in with us, Danny and Justin, Fox Sports Eugene and Newport. Hey, our good friends at the Back Nine in the Sheldon Plaza, Coburg Road, right next to Safeway there. 24/7 golf with the full swing simulators. You can play courses from throughout the world. If you want to play St. Andrews, you can play it at the Back Nine. So they're having an August Advantage membership drive right now. Anyone who signs up as a member in August gets 10% off their membership for life. For life. But you got to do it in August. Once we get busy in the fall at the Back Nine, discount's not going to be available. So let's get some urgency out there. Come on now. You know you want to. 24/7, you get to practice. Just go to the Back Nine Eugene. Use the code August10. Pretty easy. Just type in August10 when you go check out for your membership. And you will get that for life. Discount on membership for life at the Back Nine. 24/7 access. You can get the priority booking for tee times, all of that at the Back Nine. Back Nine Eugene in the Sheldon Plaza. Danny and Justin for a Friday. You're counting it down to going to Alaska for a wedding.
Yeah.
Excited?
Next Tuesday. I am excited. I'm sort of one of those people, though, that I haven't even really thought about it. Like, I know I'm going on this wedding, but I just don't look ahead a week like that. Like, I just am sort of dealing with whatever you have to do
Like
this
right
week.
in front of you.
I need to deal with
keep your head
whatever I
down.
need to do today and
Scrape
this
through it.
weekend, and then Monday and Tuesday, and then I can kind of worry about, like, once I'm actually on the plane is when I'm going to be actually, it'll set in a little more that I'm going back, and it's going to be a good time.
And by
hopefully.
the way, we want to thank again Brendan O'Mara and all the folks, Nick and the whole staff, everybody, Jacob, Susan Heisey, we'll talk about her in a second, out at Laurelwood yesterday for our weekend Eve in the Wood. We had Brendan O'Mara back out there for the front runner, the life of Steve Prefontaine. You actually got your autographed book, so you're going to read that on the plane.
I did. And we had a nice conversation after we got off the air as well. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, we got some inside info we cannot share. We were sworn to
We did,
secrecy. It's
yes.
in the vault. But we're pretty excited.
I'm excited. Yeah.
I'm very excited about it. So hopefully, and I kind of bent Brendan's arm after when we were upstairs when I was getting your book.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you got when you're ready, when you can announce what you got coming up next for your next project, please break it on our show. And he gave me his Scout's honor word that he's going to say it on our show.
Beautiful.
So I love that.
That'll be when he gets his nickname, I guess.
That's when he'll get his nickname at the same time. And by the way, I mentioned Susan Heisey. So Bailey and Heisey Real Estate has been up and operating, serving Greater Eugene, but they specialize in South Eugene since 1991. Susan Heisey was on the program yesterday. She's a great supporter of Laurelwood and this program. And, you really should think about a 5-year plan. What is your 5-year plan? Susan Heisey can help you with that. This is not high-pressure real estate. They carry very low inventory so they can pay personal attention to you at Bailey and Heisey Real Estate. And Susan's door is always open. She's the principal broker and owner. You can call her at 541-520-2246, or you can just email her, Susan at HeiseyHomes.com. Once again, but Susan Heisey, call or text her, 541-520-2246, and talk to her about your 5-year plan. Okay. So I 2 subjects to close out the show for the week. One, we had the Hall of Fame game, Chargers and the Lions.
Yes.
And the Lions have a lot of question marks in that NFC North after losing both their offensive and defensive coordinators under Coach Dan Campbell. So it's going to be a real test of him and his coaching tree to see how they take it to the next step, because they were just a step away from the Super Bowl last year, and a great season for Jared Goff. I mean, an offense that is incredibly explosive, a defense that swarms, special teams. I mean, there was like A across the board. But my question is this: do we really need 3 preseason games? We got it back down from 4 down to 3
So now you're moving from 3 to 2, you think?
Well, I don't. I mean, I think with the wear and tear that goes on for NFL, why do we need to subject players to the possibility of having an injury? Why don't you just have like simulated games within practices, have teams do that while they're practicing? Wouldn't that make more sense?
Yes, I think that would make sense. This is one of those answers where I feel like, hey, I'm not an athlete. I'm not a football player. I haven't gone through the preseason.
Oh, I'm asking Kenyon on next Friday.
I think he'd be a great person to ask about this, because I think that it makes sense in a lot of ways, but I also could see it from a team perspective. It's an opportunity to see guys that are on the lower part of your roster that you don't want to just throw out in an actual regular season game to get them some time against guys that aren't just your own, because you're going to have, practice guys that I think that you're going to want to see reps against other teams, basically.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Why can't you do it in a practice setting? Because there are joint practices all the time in the NFL.
I guess.
And by the way,
here's why, Danny. Here's why they're not going to do it. Because
Money.
they're not getting. Yeah, they're not. They're not getting paid for that.
That darn coin. No, and by the way, Woody just texted us. The Chargers get 4 preseason games because they played the Hall of Fame game. So whoever plays in the Hall of Fame game gets that extra game.
We
for
should
the
be
Lions.
debating about 3 games for the Chargers.
Well, the next 3 games for the Chargers. But I just think I think what's going to happen is somebody big time is going to get hurt.
Yeah,
in a preseason game. I mean, even like a Patrick Mahomes type hurt. Because they even hold those guys out. Like when you get near the end, or like the next preseason game, they're going to play like a series, or they'll play a quarter, and then they're out. What happens if they get hurt in that game and they're lost for a season? The Players Association is going to come up and say, you know what, we're done. Nah, that's it. We're out. Because they've actually negotiated it down, and I didn't realize. So thanks, Woody, from 4 to 3.
Here's the thing. What's going to end up happening probably is I wouldn't be surprised if they lowered the amount of preseason games from 3 to 2, but they're also probably going to add another regular season game. So in the aggregate, you're probably actually going to get more wear and tear on guys you actually care about, because those regular season games, it's not a preseason game.
So what, with two buys?
Guys.
2 buys during the season?
I guess. I don't think they should be adding games, just like I don't think they should be adding playoff teams. I think there's too many playoff teams in the NFL now. I think there's too many games. I don't like how they're making it. So I think they're implementing that every team will have to start doing these international games as well. Or
probably. I can see that happening.
They're starting. I think that's part of the reason why these schedules are increasing and they're making extra buys, is because it'll allow teams to go and travel out of the country for a week and get a bye afterwards.
Well, just grabbing the unholy dollar. I mean, we found out $438 million per team that they got from the NFL from their TV deals and all the marketing deals. $438 million.
I think the NBA's perfected this. The NBA now is exploring doing it in the regular season as well. But I just want to say about just this game, this Hall of Fame game in general.
Yeah.
Like, do we really learn anything about these two teams? Because
you're making my point for me as well.
I know, and I saw a ton of people talking about the Lions specifically and going, wow, like, look, now when they don't have their coaches as their coordinators, then they're not going to be as good of a team. It's like, well, I don't know. I mean, do we really think that Kyle Allen, who was, throwing 14 passes for them last night, is going to be the same as Jared Goff and all the weapons they have? Like, I'm not convinced we learned a single thing from the game last night. Justin Herbert didn't play. Maybe we, like, the kind of guys I think you might learn a little bit of something about is a guy like DJ Uiagalelei, who, to be fair, only had 3 passes. But that's the kind of guy I want to see in a preseason game, actually.
I think the numbers will bear out that 40% of the players you saw last night you're never going to see again.
Probably.
When it comes to the regular season. They're not even on anybody's roster. They're going to be buried in a practice squad somewhere, or they're just going to be totally cut, and they're going to be trying to go to Canada or some other place. XFL if they keep reviving that, the AFL if they keep reviving that. If
you're a Chargers fan, you're excited last night to see Omarion Hampton for a couple plays before he was.
Yes.
I think he actually had an injury scare, and so they kind of held him out the rest of the game, which is to your point. So I completely understand. But also, though, don't you have to have some sort of ramp up? I
think so, and I think that's great from the athlete's perspective that we would ask that question.
Right, and that's why I want to know, hey, how many games is this? I think for instance, in baseball, you have to have spring training. You're not going to get the same quality of product
Sure.
if you just start playing the games and having no games that are spring training games.
I agree. I see all
I
of
think
that.
we're generally in the same ballpark.
I think we are in that. All right, so let's. I don't want to say total grades, but let's just say winners and losers from Major League Baseball. I'll just throw out a couple of mine real quick. Winners, I think Yankees with their pitching. They picked up David Bednar from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's good.
Bird from Colorado. Seattle, of course, with Suarez. Josh Naylor, who they did. That was really early in the window. And Seattle, I think they improved.
Well, and apparently they didn't give up either any top prospects, either top 10 prospects in that trade for Suarez.
They improved. So on the opposite, so I think the A's won a little bit because of who they picked up looking forward. They picked up a ton of prospects, names that you're going to hear probably at the major league level within the next couple of years, like Leo DeVries, Braden Nutt, Henry Baez, Kenya Higgins. Three of those are pitchers. DeVries is a shortstop.
The Padres have a top 5 system, and they just traded away a ton of the guys.
So you agree with all of those teams?
Totally agree.
As number
Totally
okay,
agree.
I think the Mets, Ryan Helsley, that's a nice pickup. Tyler
Phillies,
Rogers,
I think, as well.
What now?
Phillies, I think, did pretty well.
I think the Phillies did okay, and we already talked about the Padres.
That's a controversial one because I saw a lot of their fans that were just absolutely horrified with the amount of prospects they gave up. But if you're getting a guy like Mason Miller for the next until 2030, then you're going to give up a lot. And he throws 105 miles per hour. Apparently, they want to make him a starter. We'll see what happens with that. But
okay, any other winners right off the top of your head?
No, I think that's pretty encapsulated.
Losers?
Oh, actually, the one team, Houston. Houston, they just picked up Correa basically for free.
But he's going to play third now instead of short because he's got somebody occupying that spot. Okay.
He's really good.
Okay. Well, I'll see if they welcome back with open arms. I'm sure they will. Losers?
I'm sure they will, actually.
You could say Red Sox, Minnesota Tigers,
the Red
Atlanta.
Sox.
Red Sox,
listen,
absolute
I have 3 big losers. These are my 3 biggest losers. It's the Red Sox, who basically did nothing. They had an opportunity to improve. The other 2 biggest losers are the 2 best teams in the National League, the Brewers and the Cubs. The Cubs had all these opportunities to close some holes, and I don't want to go on and on about the Cubs, but they did not do that. They did not go after any
only name they got was
guys.
Willie Castro, and he's going to be a platoon player at best.
The Brewers is really surprising to me, though, because that's a team that they're a record break. The record at the break was their highest in history at the All-Star break. They're a team that has a ton of top prospects. They're in the top 3, depending on the system you're looking at. But they just didn't really improve anywhere. They got a couple guys, some reclamation projects, which I think they're always pretty good with. But they didn't add that guy in their lineup, like a Eugenio Suarez, who I thought would be perfect for them, to just revamp their offense because they have some good players, but they don't have that guy. That I think if you're a postseason team and it's the 9th inning, you want that one guy that you could just sit there and go, we don't want that guy up. And they don't have that.
So the other 2 I had was the Tigers and the Braves. Absolutely were horrific at the trade deadline. So one thing I'm going to love about you is that you bash Jed Hoyer for the Cubs all the time. No, I'm just going to make.
I don't know how public I want to make
that. This is actually a compliment to you.
Okay.
And if the Cubs, for any stretch of the imagination, actually go to the World Series and win the whole thing, you will still hate Jed Hoyer. You will still not like. No, not probably. You will still not like Jed Hoyer
in spite of him.
no matter what. All right, let's do that joke.
Oh, a joke!
I got fired from the bank today. A woman asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her.
Dad jokes.
You know you would still not like Jed Hoyer.
I'm
you
a
would not
consistent
get
guy.
off. You would not get off of that. All right. Why are dogs like phones? I
know.
like this one because they have caller IDs. Caller IDs. All right, next week, it's going to be a short week for Baby J as he's headed off to Alaska, not to get married, but to watch somebody else get married. He's going to be on a long plane ride. He's going to read a book, and I'm going to be here by myself Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Well, not necessarily by myself, because we'll still be out at Laurelwood on Thursdays. We'll have a slew of guests out there. Kenyon Barner on next week. We're efforting Dave Revson. Some other surprises for you as well. I know we're going to have Isaac Streeter on next week, so lots to look forward to. Have a pleasant weekend, my friends. Get down to the USTA Track and Field Championship, pair championships down at Hayward Field. For Baby J, I'm Danny. God bless. Be well. Put a smiley face on someone else's. They deserve it. So do you. Peace.